April reading recap. Okay, my nails are a little wet, so I might be like doing this a little bit. So April reading recap. I'm gonna start with my audiobooks because audiobooks count as reading in my opinion. So the first audiobook that I listened to was Stephen King's On Writing. This is a very old memoir. How are we gonna, I think it's published in 2001. So yeah, that's 20-ish years old. 26 years old. I think it was 2001. So yeah, it's an older memoir from Stephen King, and I listened to it because I knew that it had information in it about his like writing process and his day-to-day. What I didn't expect was that I was going to laugh and cry, and I learned so much about him. I'm not a huge Stephen King reader. I do have I don't know if you can even see them. So I have some of his books here, 4 of his books here. I think what he's done is amazing. I mean, the amount of books he cranks out is just insane. I don't think anybody would disagree with me there. I just haven't read a ton of his work personally. I've never really been a huge sci-fi or horror reader. Last October, I read The Shining for the first time. And I had planned to read 2 Stephen Kings in October, but The Shining took me so long to get through. I didn't realize how chunky of a book that was. But yeah, I had no idea that Stephen King had been hit by a car and hospitalized. I must be living under a rock, but I had no idea about that. I also I known he had some like alcohol and addiction issues, but I didn't know how severe it was, and so he talks about that in his memoir. So it was all very interesting. Loved learning about his like writing process and how he does it. So yeah, I actually really enjoyed this memoir. That was my feedback on it. The other audiobook that I listened to was Gary Hendrix' Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, which again, I'm writing a horror right now. So I've been trying to read a little bit more of horror. Just because you have to read what you write. I firmly believe that anyways. So I read this, and the reason I was drawn to this book was because it's actually set in St. Augustine, Florida, which is where I'm from. St. Augustine doesn't play a huge part in it, but that's what like made me click, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this was like recommended to me based on the topics and like the horror genre that I was looking for, and it was set in St. Augustine, so I was like, perfect, great. So it's set in the like late 50s, early 60s, I believe, and it's basically these girls who get they have teenage pregnancies, they get sent to a home and they basically become witches, and there's a whole crazy thing that happens. I was a little bit hesitant. I almost didn't pick it up. Thank God it said St. Augustine's, otherwise I wouldn't have picked it up, because I'm always a little bit like when it's men writing stories about women's experiences. However, he did it really well, and it was done really well. That's all I can really say there. I did enjoy it. It was good. The ending was satisfying. So all in all. So then my other horror read this month, like I said, I've been reading a lot of horror because I'm writing one. I read The Body by Bethany C. Morrow. This has really bad reviews, and I don't honestly know why. So I got this from Owl Crate, part of my Owl Crate quarterly horror submission, and yeah, like bad. I think the Goodreads review is like 2.3 or something, like ridiculous. And I honestly don't understand why, because I thought it was really well executed. Like the tension was good. It had me like, making some faces at some points. Oh, same with the Gary Hendrix book. There are some really, if you were like I had to almost like fast forward through parts of it because there were some details about like the child giving. It was like borderline. I can handle a lot, and it was like borderline too much. And listening to it is very different than reading it. So yeah. Same in this book. There was a little bit of gore. Not anything ridiculous that, as far as I can remember. I hate all of the characters, which I don't mind hating characters. Like, at least I feel something for them. There's nothing worse than like a character that you don't feel anything for at all. So I pretty much hate all of the characters in this book. And to me, like, that's great. I probably wouldn't reread this, but I would absolutely recommend this to somebody. Good book. And then the other book that I read, I have been reading the Atlas trilogy. So the Atlas Pardox was my read for that last month. And this Atlas Pardox, Paradox was not as good as book 1 in my opinion. There was just a lot less plot, which is fine. This is a very character-driven book. and I think, again, this also doesn't have great Goodreads reviews. I think that a lot of people don't necessarily understand when they go to review this, that this is basically, you know, it's a situationship with everybody within each other. You know, this is a very character-driven book, like I said, and so basically it's like, what if you, I mean, the whole premise of the Atlas series is like, what if you get 6 of the most intelligent people in the world, and also they're all hot, and you put them in a secret society, and you see what happens. So yeah, I mean, that being said, that was the premise of the first book, and then the second book just like kind of tags on from that. So it's very philosophical. I mean, it's basically set in the Library of Alexandria. I hope I'm not doing any spoilers with that. I think that's in like the first like 5 pages. That's not really a spoiler. It might even be on the back cover. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. So yeah, Atlas Pardox. I enjoyed it. Again, not as good as book 1, but I also enjoy a character-driven book. Everybody in that book is also pretty much insufferable, which again, I'm totally okay with insufferable characters. Like, again, at least I feel something for them. And that was my April reading recap. So I will come with you guys next with my May hopefuls.